7:30 has gained access to members of the Rebels in Brisbane. They and their families are now pleading for the state government to repeal its tough new legislation ahead of a looming High Court challenge. But police say they need the laws and they're ramping up their operations after intelligence into the building and gym industries. Josh Bavis has the story.
It might surprise Queenslanders to see so many Brisbane Rebels together in one place. They're here to talk to the ABC, but they've actually been gathering every week since the introduction of the bikie laws. The gang members might have been banned from their clubhouse, but there's no law stopping them from meeting in private homes like this one in suburban Brisbane.
And there hasn't been one major criminal organisation bust.
They're speaking out to try to win the hearts and minds of everyday Queenslanders in a PR battle that's only just beginning.
We had concerts over the years that have thousands of people attend, and they know there's never any trouble there. You know, they've witnessed it for themselves, and then they know who's telling the truth.
The government declared war on outlaw motorcycle clubs, has absorbed every available police resource. First, sweeps began in the clubhouses. Every week, more were arrested on charges relating to drugs, extortion, weapons and assaults.
We will take whatever action we can to stop this menace.
If somebody, whatever club they're in, if they've broken a law by doing drugs or whatever, then they should go to jail and suffer the punishment. It's got nothing to do with the rest of us.
Then police came for alleged bikies and their friends meeting in pubs, hotels or having an ice cream. To date, about 570 people have been charged with more than 1,200 offences. And while it might seem like it's reaching a crescendo, police say they're just getting started.
It's in months and years in relation to these operations. It's not in a matter of weeks where we get a successful conclusion.
The clubs say the stakes have never been so high. By July, workers in tattoo parlours and in certain trades will have to prove they're free of bikie associations.
If these laws aren't repealed, I'm out of work. I can't work anywhere. I don't have a criminal record.
Family members say they're the collateral damage.
What if I'm walking through a shopping centre and I come across a member and his wife in the shopping centre? Do we then have to scurry to either end of the shopping centre? Are we then doing the wrong thing?
Tracy Kosenko says her life changed the morning her husband's club was declared criminal.
I would love to go on a double date with the Premier, his wife, my husband. Let's just sit down and talk, because I can guarantee he could sit down for 5 minutes with us and go, I made a mistake. These people are so normal.
How you going with these landlords there?
Oh, okay, is she going up tomorrow?
We are not targeting the families, but we are definitely targeting criminal organisations.
Others say they weren't drawn to the rebels for criminal reasons.
I did 2 tours of duty, operational tours of duty overseas. When I left the military, I became a little bit ill. I had difficulty in my life. My marriage went south, and I was finding it difficult to just survive, I guess.
But there's little sympathy down at police headquarters.
The vast majority of these gangs, the gang members have had some sort of criminal history, whether it be some time ago or current.
Earlier this month, 3 alleged rebels in Townsville were charged with meeting in a gym with drugs in their possession, and last week an alleged rebel from Ballina was charged for trafficking amphetamines across the border to the Gold Coast. And police have received intelligence reports about bikie links to the building industry after revelations this week of collusion between unions, companies and bikies in New South Wales and Victoria.
The tentacles of these gangs, they reach deep into many of our industries in Queensland, and where we have the ability to rout them out, we will.
Police have also told the ABC they're now targeting suburban gyms and fitness clubs and could ask the government for the ability to order background checks of people in the industry.
The patch members distance themselves and get the underlings to do the dirty work because they're the ones who go to jail and get caught. And that's the beauty of the new, I suppose, the new legislation. It gives us an extra tool to target the patch members.
Show me the organised crime. Show me. Show me all this money we're making. Show me where it all is. It doesn't exist, for starters. And if a member gets caught with drugs, that's him getting caught with drugs. That's not the club getting caught with drugs. That's not my husband getting caught with drugs.
Did you hear any more about that paperwork yet, Mick?
The paperwork for a High Court challenge to the anti-bikie legislation is expected to be filed within a week. But with Anzac Day just a few months away, club members say they fear being jailed for having a beer on the day with fellow veterans.
It's quite possible that I could end up on the wrong side of the law and be classified as a criminal and jailed. Mr Premier, I ask you, is that organised crime? Is it a crime? What is it?
It certainly wouldn't be our path on that day to take any action on that day in relation to criminal motorcycle gang members.
In the meantime, the Rebels say they'll continue to talk strategy every Friday night.
He's coming undone with something.
At last week's meeting, they were joined by the Australian film crew for Vice documentaries based in New York.
And he said, Mick, there's 10 pages. He said, your club wouldn't make it past the first page.
Both the bikies and the government say this is a battle they can't afford to lose.
Even at home, obviously it affects all my family, with my wife, kids, everything. Very stressful, not knowing what the future holds.
And the Premier has joined me in the studio for our first interview of the year, fresh from the cyclone zone. Premier, you must have made a few people nervous going up and sitting through a cyclone. What was it like?
Oh, look, and excuse me for my tie, I have just got back really. But look, it was good to go up there. I wanted to do that for two reasons. One, just to show North Queenslanders that we're there in solidarity with them. But I also wanted to check out how the preparations are going, because there will be potentially other events during the season. And I actually have sat down with my staff late this afternoon, with a number of important bits of feedback, things that we've got to do better.
What's that?
Look, various things about the way that we're getting information through to the public. I've had, for example, today a complaint which has come in from a member of the public about the Transport and Main Roads information website on road closures. And you know what? Having had a look at it myself today, I totally agree with that feedback. We're going to fix it.
It just didn't say if a road was flooded or not.
I don't think it's good enough. I don't think it's clear enough. I don't think it was being updated quickly enough. There you go. So we're very happy to do better, and we must do better, because that's what government is all about, serving the people.
There was a complaint about the Weather Bureau and the lack of updates in that crucial period where it crossed the coast. What did you make of that? Well,
I think Minister Crisafulli's been pretty blunt and to the point. I don't think I can add any more to that. And look, I've just been critical about the Queensland government's efforts just in the last 24 hours. Certainly I think the BOM need to look at their procedures, and I'm very reassured by Minister Greg Hunt, the federal minister who's responsible, who's saying that they will deliver 1 hourly warnings in future, well, particularly I hope as a cyclone crosses the coast.
And a review as well, so you're pleased with that?
Oh, look, I'm very happy with that. I mean, look, the thing about this is that the BOM really last night needed to let people know when it changed course, because it actually, when I went to bed, it was going to go across Ayr and Home Hill. When I woke up this morning, I was quite surprised to see it was coming in, or it had come in already, about 135 kilometres as the crow flies over Cape Gloucester. So that was quite a change, and probably people needed to know.
So many farmers inland need the rain from that cyclone, but it doesn't look like it's going to hold much for them, does it?
I have been watching all day the weather radar, and watching particularly a belt of rain sort of reaching from Clermont, Emerald towards Aramac and hopefully Longreach. But it certainly doesn't look like drought-breaking rain, but I'm sure they'll be grateful for anything that they get.
Can I move to something slightly more sinister? Union corruption. We saw allegations aired earlier this week on the ABC and other media about corruption and organised crime infiltrating the construction industry and unions in New South Wales and Victoria. Any evidence of it here in Queensland?
Look, I'm really taking a bit of a reserved sort of approach to this. I believe there are issues. But as to somebody coming forward and saying to me at the moment that there's a huge problem, I'm not seeing that. But I have had people over the last 2 years while I've been doing this job saying that they're concerned about, for example, again, criminal gangs, particularly motorcycle gangs on building sites. But, you know, to be honest, nobody's come forward and particularly put that case on the table. But the government's laws in relation to the building industry, I think, are important, because we are seeing the problem interstate. There's some very strong allegations down there. And I just say this, do we really want criminals involved in activities on building sites? And I don't think we do.
Yeah, the federal government is saying we're going to introduce the Building and Construction Commission again. Are you happy to leave it at that, or you're thinking the state government needs to act as well?
I think that would be very good, because we need a national approach, and we need a national approach to fighting criminal gangs anyway. But you know, Queensland won't sit by the way, on that criminal gang issue and just leave it to chance. That's why we've gone in the way we have to make Queensland a safer place.
Yeah, about those bikies, how surprised are you that the bikies are still meeting in such great numbers?
Oh, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, many millions of dollars, arguably hundreds of millions of dollars, and you know, are at stake here. We knew that this would be a long, drawn-out battle. We knew that they wouldn't just go away. But I'm very happy with the results so far. I mean, the results speak for themselves, and we've had, say, a 40% reduction in armed robberies on the Gold Coast. I'll just check my figures. A 23% reduction in break-in enters, and also a 20% reduction in assaults and violent crime on the Gold Coast. That's fantastic.
Is that because of the extra police numbers that you dispatched there, or do you think they're all from bikie crime?
Extra police, proactive policing measures.
But are they two separate
and also
issues is
laws.
what I'm trying to get at?
They're totally connected. I mean, why do people commit armed robberies? Well, one of the biggest reasons is to feed a drug habit. So if you've been the subject of a violent crime, if you've been held at gunpoint at a service station, you know, some poor attendant, if your child has, if you have gone home one day and, pardon me, found that grandma's necklace has been stolen and the house has been robbed, I mean, those are the impacts from people who sell drugs and distribute them around our community. They're quite pervasive and far-reaching.
You said 3 years and the laws are going to be gone.
Well, no, let's be totally accurate. We have actually built in that within 3 years there must be a review. My preferred position, unequivocally, is the law should go. Because, you know, in case people are sitting at home doubting that, I'm the guy in 2012 who was asked about Barry O'Farrell's laws about people wearing their colours in public. And at that time, I sort of, it's on the public record, said that I didn't want to go down that road. And I didn't. The only reason...
But do you think there's still going to be a problem? Will the problem be solved in 3 years?
Well, I'm hoping that it will be. And I'm determined, more importantly, I'm determined that we will do everything we can to make this a safer state. Because we're not going to go the same route as, say, New South Wales. I mean, every sort of morning, it seems to me, Matt, I'm there, just stepping out of the shower, I'm talking to my wife and turning on the TV, it might be ABC 24 or commercial stations, and yet another gangland drive-by shooting in Sydney. That's what I don't want to see come into Queensland. And we saw that, though. We saw an incident in Robina in 2012 where an innocent lady was shopping on, I think it was a Sunday, as I recall, or a Saturday afternoon. She was there shopping there, minding her own business, and was caught up in the crossfire between two gang members. I don't want that happening in Queensland.
Can I ask you what happens, though, after 3 years to the people who perhaps are jailed for the 15 to 25 years under the VLAD Act? Do they get let out of solitary confinement?
Well, let's just deal with it. There's two different issues in what you've asked there, essentially.
But the people doing hard time, the 23 hours...
If the law's there, if they're there and convicted under a law, they're there. And that's a penalty, by the way.
So they'll stay in for the 50... Even though the laws have gone, they'll stay in pink jumpsuits, the 23 hours, etc.
That would be my understanding. Now, let's deal with...
OK, so if the laws are gone then, and presuming you're saying they're staying in the solitary confinement, wouldn't they then be subject to what would be the existing laws of parole? And so they would have to be let out?
Well, I'd like to deal with this issue about the solitary confinement, because there's a lot of nonsense being spoken about this. I mean, the clear advice from the correctional services people and the police is that these individuals, when they go into jail, actually do seek and actually get away with, I'm afraid to say, if they're not sort of segregated in this way, they actually continue their criminal enterprises. Plus...
But can I just press you on this point? Because no one's been told what happens to these people after 3 years.
Well, that's...
If the laws aren't there, then only the existing laws would apply to them, and parole would then be an option for these people you wanted to be put away for 15
that is a
to 25.
matter for the Parliament in 3 years' time when the laws are reviewed. But I just want to deal with this issue about the solitary confinement. These measures have been put in place because they undertake their activities within jail to control things going outside. But
at Woodford, though, they're all let out on their daily exercise in groups relating to their gangs.
Well, can I just...
Why would you do that?
Can I just continue? The idea is to try and stop the management of external activities going on in the community. Plus also, and this is the important point I was trying to get to, they also seek to recruit other people in jail. And we're not going to have them try and get other people into the gangs. I make the point, this is from the police, since 2007 in Queensland, it's estimated that the numbers of people in these gangs have increased by 50%.
Okay,
so it's now time to make a stand.
If I could just nail it down, though, in 3 years' time, when they're subject to parole because these laws have been taken off the statute books, if you get your way, you're saying you'll have to go back to the Parliament, change the laws again. There'll be more legislation to keep them in their solitary.
What I'm saying, Matt, is that is a matter that is a hypothetical for 3 years' time.
It's a very real situation, because you're saying in 3 years the laws that held them there
the justification
are
for the laws that we have right now are this: we have criminal gangs, and the existing laws have not been able to deal with the situation because they have grown in size and they've grown in activities. We didn't ask these people to go and basically riot in the streets on the Gold Coast on the 27th of September. Nor is it... No, hell,
fair
please.
enough, but maybe I can ask it in a different way.
Really,
what about the restrictions on the trades, having to have the criminal checks? Will that lapse after 3 years?
Matt, I would like to not deal with hypotheticals. I'd like to deal with the here and now and why the laws are in place. Okay, I can't answer for what Parliament will do in 3 years' time.
But you're the Premier. You must have an idea of what was going to happen after the 3 years.
Matt, I'm happy to talk about what's happening here and now. I'm telling you what
I just don't know what people are going to do if they want to become an electrician in 3 years' time. Will they still have to get a criminal check?
I'm telling you what people will need to do right here and now. And the answer is this: that criminal gangs, on the advice of the Australian Crime Commission and the Australian Federal Police and the CMC and the Queensland Police Service, are actually involved in terrible criminal activities across this state: extortion, drug manufacture, distribution, and that is a fact. It is not the Queensland Government's view, it is the view of those who seek to protect us. Therefore, under the legislation we've created, a number of organisations have been declared. The people you just showed to air are members of a criminal gang. You've asserted that yourself in your own program, and it's the advice of all those agencies that they are involved in these unlawful activities.
Can I bring you back to the here and now then?
Yeah, well, please, if I may finish. This is a complex issue. You've asked me to come on this show a few times, and I want to explain it this evening for Queenslanders. Nobody else but those declared criminal gangs, and they were declared on the advice of the Police Commissioner on the basis of all that criminal intelligence from those agencies that I've mentioned. That's how they were declared. Contrary to what those individuals are asserting freely in the media at the moment, which is spin, and it's designed to scare Queenslanders, contrary to what they're saying, the Girl Guides, lawful motorcycle clubs, Zonta, Probus, diggers on Anzac Day, they're not caught by these laws.
Okay, Anzac Day, perhaps I could take you to what Superintendent McNilan was saying there. No action against bikies on Anzac Day. That kind of armistice, how does that sit with you?
No, that's not what he was saying at all. What he was saying to you, I believe,
wouldn't be seeking to take any action on Anzac Day.
Well, he was saying, no, I didn't hear that at all. I'd put it to you like this, that the police clearly have a discretion. If a group of criminal motorcycle gang members met somewhere on Anzac Day for the purpose of planning something to do with drugs or distribution or some sort of criminal activity, and the police cottoned onto that, well, I'm pretty sure they'd use the laws. If, however, they spotted a criminal motorcycle gang member happening to bump into one or two others on Anzac Day, I'm sure they'd probably be pretty sensible
for
of that.
instance, or at a
exactly.
pub or...
But I'd say this. It's the same sort of thing, it's the same sort of argument. If the police saw someone they knew who'd committed an armed robbery on Anzac Day, a murderer, do you think they'd be an armistice?
No,
I don't think so. Well, that's again the ridiculous nature of some of the things that these individuals are putting up.
Okay,
but can I go back to this thing about licensing?
I'm sorry, I'm told I'm out of time. Unfortunately, we're live, so we've got to stick to the...
Well, yeah, Matt,
perhaps we could get you on again.
Well, it deserves
I've got lots more questions I would love to ask you as well.
A fulsome explanation about the here and now, not 3 years' time, what these laws will do right now. And the bottom line is they're going to make Queensland a safer place.
Okay,
that's what it's all about.
Thank you very much for coming in, Premier. I do appreciate it.
What do you think of my new place? Come up here once a day for a few minutes to remind myself of what it is I'm protecting.
It's beautiful. Why did you send me away?